Hello, this is Carrie Fell. Welcome to my studio. So today I'm going to dye this ball of Lopi in a new technique that I haven't tried yet. It's Highland Bulky, made in Peru, and it is 100% Highland wool. So this is a good knitting yarn. It weaving, not sure how I would use it quite yet. I'd like to use little finer yarns than this. So this is just a fun project with a knitting yarn. So I have this interesting syringe, and it's got this great pointy end, which is a little discolored, but it is just perfect for stabbing a ball of yarn and injecting the dye into it. So I'm going to be drawing up a couple different colors of dye and injecting them into the center of the ball. That's why I've put the ball in there whole, and that should make an interesting color scheme once I unroll it. So I have some leftover turquoise, some leftover raspberry, and this one bottle is a mixture of, I don't know, but it looks like some violet and maybe something else in there as well. Twilight maybe. Anyway, so I think those colors will be complementary. All right, so it's looking pretty steamy in there. Start with the raspberry. So I'm going to take this, I'm just going to stick it in down into the yarn and inject. Looks like a jelly donut. Don't want to waste. I'm going to squirt the extra color in there. Next color, the mystery purplish. Same thing, about 7-ish. Ooh, I see some of the pink emerging. Okay, I'm gonna stick it down in deep here and inject. Let's put some of that extra into the water too. It's coming out the bottom. Wonder if I'm squirting it right through and out the other side. Huh. Maybe I shouldn't be doing it so deep, or maybe with not so much pressure. I don't know. All right, turquoise. Same thing. Do it on this spot. Poke it in. Do it a little more slowly so that it'll want to stay in the yarn rather than squirt out the bottom. Okay. Have no idea whether I should be inserting more. Look at it coming out the bottom like that. The water has the acid in it already, and the yarn was soaking in acid water, so there's plenty of acid in there to help it adhere to the yarn. Don't know whether to push it down on it. Look at that, the It's turning into a dye bath. The whole thing's turning purple. I don't want to touch it too much because I'd like the color to do what it wants to do. But I also don't really want white. Don't want to squeeze all the water out of all the dye out of the ball, but I'd like some of that white to take up dye as well. Isn't that interesting? Well, don't really want to mess around with it because I'm curious to see what it looks like on the inside, and if I poke too much, might displace the dye, although it looks like most of it came squirting right out the bottom. The outside's turning a nice purple. Wonder what it looks like inside. Let it steam for 20 minutes or so, and I'll be back. Okay, I'm checking it after 20 minutes. The dye bath is still slightly blue, but it's clearing very nicely. The outside of the yarn has taken on a nice purple. It's steaming nicely, as you can see. I'm so curious to see what the inside looks like. Looks like the dye did not draw up into the top of the ball, but it's all right. It will make a color pattern when I unwind it. So I'm gonna let it stay in the pot and steam away. I do want that blue tinge to clear from the water, so I'll check it again after another 10 or 15 minutes. Okay, the water is cooling. It's warm but not hot, and it looks like the color is completely in the yarn, nothing left in the pot. So I'm just going to pull it out. I don't want to handle it. Ooh, here's a look at the bottom. I don't want to handle it too much because this type of yarn will felt quite easily. So I'm not going to rinse it out yet. Look at that. It looks like the halo, that's the fuzzy part, has dyed, and the core of the yarn is staying white. Interesting. Not a lot of color in the inside. The stuff I squirted in went straight to the bottom. Alright, so I'm going to just squeeze the water out gently. And then I'm going to lay it on a towel to dry. And then I will wind it into a skein in order to wash it and hang it. But we'll try to dry it as much as I can just by laying it on a towel. So I'm unwinding the ball of yarn now. I don't have a niddy noddy. I don't want to use my wood warping board or Swift, so doing it between a couple of clamps. And here's the ball on the floor. It's very interesting. The colors were started off kind of muted. These bottom ones here are the ones that were on the outside, and very quickly it started to get lighter. So it's getting lighter and lighter. But now we're getting some those real strong pops of color from where I injected the dye in the middle. So then this looks like, what was the top of the ball, maybe, where I did the injecting. So yeah, it looks like the spots are going to become more defined as I move on. Carry on! So the yarn has some real defined areas of bright color from where I injected the dye. It's a little more muted on the outside where it was soaking in the color from the pot, but we've got a real different color on the halo as opposed to the core of the yarn. So very interesting. This seems to have gotten more to the core. So I'm going to remove it from here and hang it to dry, and then we'll take another look at it. So here is the finished dyed yarn. I took a ball of Lopi and kept it in the bowl, soaked it in water with acid, and then I injected 1 squirt of each of 3 colors into the center of the ball. So it's given a very interesting effect. I kind of love it. A lot of it stayed white. Actually, it's not a pure white, most of it. Some of it is a pure white here. Very little of it. Most of it has a bit of a tint of color on it. So because of the mixture of colors, it almost seems to have more than 3. So the turquoise, the pink, and the purple have mixed in places, giving a good variety of colors. This would work really well for a knit project. Give a nice variegation. Let me ball it up and we'll take another look. So here it is as a skein, a little ball of 50 grams of Lopi, ready to be knit up into an interesting project. Thanks for watching my dyeing video. Please like and subscribe to my channel if you'd like to see more.